Advaita and Vishishtadvaita. These are very profound and popular philosophies and schools of thought in the ancient Sanatana Dharma. Now, both of these schools are the schools of thought within Vedanta, and each of these philosophies are very deep and they have a tremendous effect on what Hinduism is today. Today, we are doing a comparative analysis between Advaita Vedanta and Vishishtadvaita. And by the end of this video, we will look at the primary framework on which each of these philosophies are based on. And at the end, I will also give you my perspective as in why I follow the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta and why I think Advaita Vedanta is the most effective model to understand this complex reality. The Advaita channel is about consciousness and conscious creation. Here we explore Vedanta and various other ancient spiritual teachings from India to understand this reality and to consciously create our lives. Now, before we go ahead, I need to say that I have tremendous amount of respect to each of these acharyas and each of these great beings who have given such profound philosophies and who have contributed greatly to the advancement of Sanatana Dharma. This video is simply to give the seeker a comparative understanding of these two philosophies and my perspective and my understanding of Advaita Vedanta. Let us begin by understanding the main proponents behind each of these philosophies. At first, there is Advaita Vedanta, and the most popular proponent of Advaita Vedanta, as we all know, is Adiguru Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya, who lived in around 8th century CE, was a preeminent Indian philosopher who systemized and popularized Advaita Vedanta, one of the most influential schools of Hindu philosophy. Shankara was a prolific writer who composed commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras and the Upanishads. And he also authored many Prakarana Granthas. He is credited with establishing the 4 principal monasteries across India and organizing a monastic order known as the Dashanami Sampradaya. And Shankaracharya is also the reason for Hinduism to be in this way today. And Sri Ramanujacharya is another prominent figure. Ramanujacharya, who lived in around 11th to 12th century CE, was very influential in South India and was the chief proponent of Vishishtadvaita, a qualified non-dualist school of Vedanta. Ramanujacharya also wrote influential commentaries on Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. He systemized the philosophy of Vaishnavism and his tradition is known as Sri Vaishnavism. So Ramanujacharya is also a very important figure when it comes to Bhakti movement and when it comes to Vaishnavism. So we are talking about very deep philosophies which were proposed and which were explained to us by 2 great figures in Indian philosophy. And in this video, we are looking at each of these philosophies from the surface level. Each of these philosophies are very deep and it takes years and even decades to master even one of these. Let us now examine the key differences between Advaita Vedanta and Vishishtadvaita. Point 1. The ultimate reality or Brahman. As per Advaita Vedanta, Brahman or the ultimate reality is beyond form. It is beyond all perception. This Brahman is the infinite consciousness as per Adi Shankara. This is the ultimate reality within which the universe appears. And every aspect of this universe ultimately is this Brahman. So, Advaita is non-duality, which says there is one without the other. Ultimately, Shankaracharya says that everything is Brahman and only Brahman is, only consciousness is. Whereas Vishishtadvaita takes a very different stand. According to Sri Ramanujacharya, Brahman has attributes and Brahman has a divine form and this is the form of Lord Vishnu or Sri Narayana. And Brahman has all the auspicious qualities as per Sri Ramanujacharya, and he is devoid of all the negative qualities. This form of Vishnu is the ultimate form and is the ultimate reality as per Sri Ramanujacharya. According to Vishishtadvaita, the Brahman consists of three real entities, that is Ishvara, God, Jiva, the individual soul, and Jagat, universe. Whereas as per Advaita Vedanta, ultimately there is only Brahman or consciousness. And the relationship between God and creation is described as Sharira Shariri Bhava Sambandha in Vishishtadvaita, that is body-soul relationship. But there is no relationship ultimately between God and creation as per Advaita Vedanta. Brahman, as per Vishishtadvaita, is seen as a complex organic whole that includes both conscious beings, Chit, and unconscious matter, or Achit, as its modes or attributes. Point number 2, the relationship between Jiva and Brahma. As per Adi Shankaracharya and Advaita Vedanta, Jiva ultimately is one with Brahma. Advaita Vedanta can be understood by looking at this reality from three levels. As per Advaita Vedanta, at the absolute level, at the highest or the deepest level, the Jiva, who is you and me, are one with that infinite consciousness. So basically, as per Advaita Vedanta, the experience that we are having right now is a temporary experience in an appearance of Maya or this dualistic world. And if we dig deep and if we go beyond duality, we experience oneness and we experience the infinite consciousness. The three levels of reality can be understood in this way. At first there is Pratibhasika Satya or the illusory reality. Then there is Vyavaharika Satya or the transactional reality. After that there is Paramarthika Satya or the absolute reality. Now when we go to dream, we dream different dreams and we experience different things within our dreams. This is the Pratibhasika level. Once we wake up, we say that whatever we dreamed about was an illusion. It was all a projection of our mind. Just like this, Shankaracharya says, we can wake up from this reality, this transactional reality, into what we call the absolute reality, which is Brahman. And from that perspective, everything is one, and hence Jiva is also ultimately one with Brahma. This is as per Advaita Vedanta. Now again, Ramanujacharya's Vishishtadvaita takes a different stand. According to Sri Ramanujacharya, Jiva and Brahma are two distinct entities. Vishishtadvaita maintains that while the individual soul is of the same essence as Brahman, it remains eternally distinct. The relationship is described as identity in difference. The soul is both identical and different from Brahman. We can understand the stand of Vishishtadvaita with a few examples. If we look at fire, the spark of a fire, although is similar to fire in its essence, it cannot be compared to the entirety of fire itself. Just like this, a tree within a forest can be looked at as something which is similar to the forest and as a part of the forest. It can ultimately never be compared with the entirety of forest as a whole. In this way, Vishishtadvaita says, if we look at Brahman as the forest, the tree is the Jiva. Although the essence of the tree is same as that of the forest, ultimately a tree can never become the forest. This is as per Vishishtadvaita. Point number 3, the nature of the manifested world. As per Advaita Vedanta, this world and the experience that we are in right now is ultimately considered as mithya, or it is an appearance. It is neither real nor unreal. It simply doesn't have the same status as that of Brahman or the infinite consciousness as per Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya looks at reality in different dimensions, and at the ultimate level, at the highest dimension, that infinite consciousness only is, even here and now. And the world that we are perceiving right now is simply because of avidya, and it is simply an illusion. So ultimately, this universe doesn't have an independent existence of its own and it is dependent on consciousness. This is as per Advaita Vedanta. Now, Vishishtadvaita says the world is real. Sri Ramanujacharya considers the world to be real and genuine manifestation of Brahman. The world and the individual souls, that is Jiva, form the body of Brahman, with Brahman as the inner controller. So, as per Vishishtadvaita, the inner essence of everything is Brahman, but the world by itself is also real. And also, the concept of Maya is of tremendous importance in Advaita Vedanta. Shankaracharya describes this world as Maya, as a projection or an appearance, whereas Vishishtadvaita sees this world as real and as a parinama of Brahma. It sees this world as a literal transformation of Sri Vishnu himself. Point number 4, the path to liberation. As per Advaita Vedanta, knowledge or jnana is the most important and the direct means to liberation. Of course, Advaita Vedanta accepts bhakti, karma, and Raja Yoga, all paths that are talked about in Sanatana Dharma. But Advaita Vedanta emphasizes the importance of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana along with self-inquiry. Advaita Vedanta says that infinite consciousness, that God, can be found within us. So, that is the direction in which we need to look for that infinite. Whereas Vishishtadvaita, although accepts knowledge and karma, etc., as the means to liberation, it gives a tremendous amount of importance to bhakti or devotion. As per Vishishtadvaita, liberation can only occur through the grace of God, and hence devotion should be the primary means to liberation. And not just this, the explanation of what liberation is also very different in each of these philosophies. As per Advaita Vedanta, moksha or liberation is simply the destruction of ego and avidya, through which we recognize our true nature as that infinite consciousness. So, the jiva, by disassociating its identity from the ego, recognizes its true nature as the infinite and it becomes one with the infinite. Technically, there is no becoming one also. It is the infinite in its essence and it simply recognizes this. Whereas in Vishishtadvaita, after liberation, the jiva enters another dimension and the liberated soul enjoys eternal communion with God while retaining its individuality. So, even after liberation, as per Vishishtadvaita, an individual soul retains its individuality and continues to have a relationship with God in another dimension along with God. So, this is the idea of liberation as per Vishishtadvaita. Point number 5, the interpretation of the Upanishadic statements. Many Upanishadic statements are interpreted in different ways by each of these philosophies. The famous saying Tattvam Asi of Chandogya Upanishad is taken quite literally by Advaita Vedanta. As per Advaita Vedanta, this statement is a Mahavakya. It directly explains to us the nature of reality and it tells us that we are infinite in our essence. Whereas as per Vishishtadvaita, this statement is pointing towards something else. It is saying that we are one with God in essence, but we are not literally one with God, and God is an independent, separate entity apart from Jiva. So Vishishtadvaita interprets these statements to mean that the individual soul has Brahman as its essential nature, but it is not identical to Brahman in all respects. Now, these points outline the differences between each of these philosophies. According to me, the reality is infinite and it is beyond the perception of human mind. As Kenopanishad says, that Brahman is that which cannot be understood by the mind, but through which the understanding itself happens. So each of these philosophies are models of reality. But when it comes to Advaita Vedanta, I feel that this is the holistic approach and this is a higher perspective on reality because of these reasons. Number 1, Vishishtadvaita accepts the form of Vishnu as the highest form and as Brahman. Now, in my home and me myself worship Narayana and Sri Vishnu is a very important part of our lives. But think about this. If we accept Mahavishnu as the highest form and as the ultimate reality, this approach contradicts the Shaivites and the Shaktas. Within the umbrella of Sanatana Dharma, there are different schools of thought and there are different philosophies. For Shaivites, Shiva is the ultimate reality. For Shaktas, Devi is the ultimate reality. So each of these philosophies become non-compatible with each other. But when we look at reality from the perspective of Advaita Vedanta, that Vishnu is himself the infinite consciousness. Of course, that infinite consciousness, which is beyond form, can take the form of Vishnu and it can also take the form of Shiva or Devi. So, I feel Advaita provides a holistic approach to understanding this reality. Second, Vishishtadvaita considers even the dream state as reality. So, as per Advaita Vedanta, we understood that the dream reality that we experience is an illusion. So, Shankaracharya says, just like how we temporarily experience different things in our dreams, but once we wake up, we say that it was all an illusion. Even this waking world is a simulation. It is an appearance. But Vishishtadvaita takes even the dream experience as real. Now, of course, if you look at the dream reality as also a real experience, then even this waking reality also becomes a real experience from that worldview. So, at least from my perspective and my inquiry, I resonate with the teachings of Advaita Vedanta and I feel comfortable to say that the dream reality is illusory, and so even this waking world might be ultimately illusory. And then in Advaita Vedanta, there is a concept of Jivan Mukti, which means even while we are in this body, we can attain moksha and we can experience that oneness with infinite consciousness. But as per Vishishtadvaita, at least as far as I can understand, it says that we can get enlightenment or moksha only after we leave the physical body and then we go to a different dimension with God and we continue to have a relationship with God for eternity. So, this is more based on faith than logic, according to me. But even in this regard, what Advaita Vedanta says about moksha makes more sense to me. It says that even here and now, as we are, we can experience that infinity. It is just that we need to strive towards it. And then as per Vishishtadvaita, Brahman has only good qualities and it is devoid of bad qualities. And as per Advaita Vedanta, Brahman is beyond all qualities and all qualities can be and are an appearance within it. So, this is what I resonate the most with. Apart from this, one of the primary reasons why I embraced Advaita Vedanta fully in my life is because of this. If there is something called as the ultimate truth, that ultimate truth should be one, and that same truth should be validated by science, by the ancient Sanatana Dharma, by different other religions and other schools of thought like Buddhism, like Taoism, etc. And when I study Advaita Vedanta, the same essential teaching I find in the books of modern spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle, and the same kinds of teachings I find in Taoism, Sufism, etc. But of course, it is written in their own different language, in their own context, but the essential teaching is oneness of all and the transient nature of the world. And more than this, when we think about a holistic philosophy, we need to see which can be that truth, which is the most sustainable way to live. The truth of Advaita Vedanta, which says that we are all one in essence, is the most sustainable way to live, according to me. Through this, we can go beyond divisions, we can go beyond all boundaries and live as one society. And then we must understand that each of these philosophies derive their existence from the Vedas and Upanishads. Within the Vedas and Upanishads, there are Veda Shrutis, Abeda Shrutis, and Ghataka Shrutis. Veda Shrutis are the verses within the Vedas and Upanishads that support dualistic view, and Abheda Shrutis support non-dualist views, and Ghataka Shrutis support qualified non-dualistic view, that is Vishishtadvaita's view. Each of these philosophies explain all three types of Shrutis through their own interpretations, but we need to go deep into them and we need to understand them, and we need to see what philosophy resonates with us most.